Dan and Cory here, welcoming you into Libservative.
The great fundamental issue now before our people. We, the people, cannot turn back.
Yeah, welcome in to another rousing rendition of Libservative, the world's smartest podcast. Bell the Bodysnatcher on the ones and twos. He, as always, is Cory Walsh. You gotta unmute yourself, bud. There we go.
Why'd you mute me?
I didn't. It was you just came up muted.
And he's Dan Griffin.
Oh man, we're off to a great start.
Did you hear me that time?
I did hear you that time.
And he's Dan. Oh, okay, good.
We've got one hell of a show today. It is Liberation Day, ladies and gentlemen. It is also known as Tariff Day, and
Tariff, Tariff Tuesday, just on a Wednesday.
Just Tariff. Yep, Tariff Wednesday. We've got some updates out of Iran, and not really out of Iran, just more out of Netanyahu's plans for Iran, the same plans essentially that we've heard since 1992, except it's just going to keep being another 5 years until they have nuclear weapons. What else do we have in front of us? We got oil spills all over our great state of Michigan, Cory. I don't know if we're going to get to all this, but we have to start with something that I think is going to be near and dear to your heart, Cory.
What's that?
Bell, pull up the hair video. Do you have an anniversary coming up?
Who, me?
Yeah, you. I'm talking to you.
No, mine is, what is this? A test? Is my wife watching? This is September 23rd.
Not that far away. Only like half a year
6 months.
or something like that. I have a great gift video for you, or a great video of a gift that I think that you should consider getting your wife, because I think she will really, really, really appreciate this. Go ahead and roll it, Belle.
We have another pubic hair ring that we are making up for an amazing client. My client wanted a turquoisey blue background for the hairs. Of course, I did have to cut down the pubes, so they were a little shorter and a little more manageable. I always do it in a few layers, so that way you get some like crisscrossing action and some overlay. Now, people always ask me why I don't wear gloves, but really when clients send in their pubic hair, I make sure to take a really good whiff to make sure that they've showered beforehand. That way I know that the pubes are squeaky clean. I'm absolutely kidding, of course.
She's not kidding.
I like to troll you guys
kidding.
sometimes because some of the comments are absolutely ridiculous. But no,
There's
I'm
no way
not
she's
doing
kidding.
any touching. It's literally just the toothpick that is touching the hairs so I can inlay them properly. I hope you love it. We have
Wait.
Fucking white people.
So, when she first started talking, she was talking about, the pubic ring.
Yeah.
My mind went to that it was like kind of like a scrunchie for pubic hair. That
Nope.
like to hold the pubic hair out of the way for whatever, like it was.
You're
like
so innocent.
But no, it is a ring where she's inlaying pubic hairs into it.
Great anniversary gift. You could give Austin a gorgeous turquoisey blue ring with your pubic hair inlaid inside of that ring. What better gift could you get? Well, how much more thoughtful could you be?
Well, honestly, like I'm not gonna do that for my wife. So, but I'm gonna have to send her that though, because
Which side are you on?
but I'll take one. I'll have her make me one.
Gross.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now you just gave away you just gave away to the world that your wife's got a big bush.
We have white privilege.
No, I'd have to what I'd probably have to do, honestly, is after she showers, and because I'm not gonna talk about my wife's private parts, but you know, it's like my lawn is manicured, I guess. I don't know. Fuck,
just
I
did.
don't understand how for 5 minutes into this podcast and we're already talking about
Nobody's
this
ever
shit.
been hit like that.
Anyways, I'll just have to wait till she's done doing her thing and then go in the bathroom and use a wet towelette and go around the ring of the drain and get
Oh God! Well, they'll be squeaky clean,
Make-
which is the way that girl likes them.
Yeah, clearly that's how she wants them, and then I'll send them in and have them make me one for myself.
When the first time I watched that video, when she goes, "I'm totally kidding." When she said she sniffed them to make sure they're squeaky clean. I'm totally kidding.
Well,
like you could tell she was not kidding.
So here's the other thing. That video is probably a troll video. I don't think that's real at all. I don't think she actually does that.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay, Belle, look at the video real quick. You don't have to pull it back up. Is there a link to shop now? If there isn't, it's a troll video.
Let's see what he says.
I already got rid of it.
You know what?
No, I like to just completely dirty up your fucking
because it's going to make Cory
Internet
so
history.
insane. I think it's better to leave it a mystery.
No, yeah, that one's a troll. That one's not real.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
gonna look into it.
those pubes looked awfully
Ew,
real.
bro. Ew, gross. You're gonna completely destroy your internet history. You're gonna be getting algorithms for like pubic chemical terms and
This is gonna destroy it. Do you know what you guys are getting me to look up?
He's like, this is gonna lighten it up a little bit.
It'll be all right.
It's just a search history of like Nancy Pelosi's tits.
Oh, I mean, anytime I'm looking up something weird, I just hop into a McDonald's drive-through and hook up to their Wi-Fi and put it on their history.
I need Belle to pull up the second video because Cory hasn't seen this one yet. I don't think Belle's seen it yet, but it's the hot blonde chick saying that she had to break up with her boyfriend over politics. And I'm going to tell you right now, if this is how this girl actually is in real life, she is an absolute anchor, and homie is the one that absolutely dodged the bullet. There we go. Belle's got it for us.
Lay it on me.
Yeah, you're going to love this. And she is cute,
bet.
even though she's blonde. The glasses are a little much, but, you know, she's definitely she's a cutie pie. Go for it.
Story time on how
There we go.
politics were in my last relationship. So let me set this
Oh
up
my
for
God.
you.
Oh my
I was
God.
dating this guy. We've
Oh
been
my
dating
God.
for 5 months. And in those 5 months, I was told by my friend Zoe, he lives
Can you, like,
in Indiana. He's
shut
a
up?
fucking Republican. I was like, politics
Oh,
don't
that
matter to me. What was
That
that
made it
wrong?
sound like
And so I was like, it's
super
fine.
sensitive
I don't
liberal,
care.
but
I'm going to get
that
to know him
was
first.
misogynistic.
We'll decide later. So then we kind of start talking about it. I'm a very liberal woman. So I am obviously
I never would have guessed.
very much everyone knows that I'm a liberal woman. My brother's gay, all my friends are gay, also like abortion rights, female rights. But anyways, so
All
I
of
would
her
like always
friends are
ask
gay?
him, I'd be like, what's your politics? Like where do you lean? And he was just like, well, like socially I'm a liberal, but economically I'm a Republican.
Did he sound just like that too?
Okay. Also, he was a 28-year-old man. That's the first red flag, because if there's a 28-year-old man and
Wait,
he's single,
pause it
there's a
real
fucking
quick.
reason that he's single. But anyways, so then I'm like, well, like what makes you, economically Republican? Because like I could give you a whole bunch of fucking facts right now that prove
Pause
that
it
you
real
shouldn't
quick,
be.
Belle.
And he was like,
First off, economically Republican is essentially the same fucking thing as economically
By the way,
Democrat.
all of her friends are gay. Like, I understand having gay friends. I have gay friends. You have gay friends, Cory. I think Belle has gay friends. Like, but all of them?
Dan, I think all of my friends are gay too. So
Well, that's true. We are
All of my
millennial
friends are
men.
black. No, I'm just kidding.
And did this ex-boyfriend of hers actually did her ex-boyfriend actually talk like this?
Right, and then,
she was
like-
dating a Valley girl.
and then the like, oh my god, I could drop a bunch of facts right now. Like, your facts don't like. That's the biggest fucking problem, right? That's the biggest.
Yeah,
fucking
she's an
problem with
idiot.
liberals, Is they think that they have the high ground just because they have a bunch of facts, but it's like when you get past all of the woke culture bullshit, when you're talking to someone who leans Republican, who's just a working class person, and you talk to someone who's a Democrat, who's a working class person, and you get them away from all of the shit, like all of the the stuff that is literally almost fabricated to literally just fucking confuse people and get people all riled up about that, to talk about that instead of like the tabletop issues of like putting food on your table and all of that shit. So
Yeah.
like, you fucking just, you agree on basically everything if you get rid of all the noise, first
The
off.
things that
And
matter.
yeah, no, I'm really stuck on so the facts thing is what I was talking about. And like, people don't care if you know a bunch of more facts and a bunch of more like trivia night answers to random questions about shit with politics. They just know that the shit ain't working.
Like when people throw out data and have no idea how to interpret it. And I'm no better. I don't know how to interpret all data either, but
Right.
I also
It's
don't
like when
throw it
it's
out.
like when people, yeah, like when you see, and like one of the ones you see, you haven't seen it too much, but like people who try to prove the point that like the black race is more violent than the white race, right? And then
Or
they'll,
lower IQ, all of those dumb old
they'll,
racist tropes.
they'll say they'll go, well, 90% of black crime is done by other black people.
White
And it's
privilege.
like, oh, wow, yeah, you know, but then you just look up one more stat and it's like, oh, 80% of crime against white people is done by 80% white people. And it's like, oh, it's almost like the people you're hanging out with,
Yeah, you're more likely to
the people
murder
you're around
or
the
rob
most,
those people.
might be the fucking problem. Yeah.
All right, go for it, Belle. Let's see what else this anchor has to say.
All of his info is from his friends. And I was like, you get all your information from your fucking redneck friends. Obviously, you can't trust them. You need to do the research
Holy
yourself.
shit, she's
And if
already
you do the research,
assuming
I
that
told
he's
him, I
a
was like,
redneck
I'll
'cause he's
support
from
you
Indiana.
based on your decision if you actually research it yourself. Like, I won't care if you're a Republican. But anyways, and so he was like, Zoe, I have
God.
much better things to do than research politics. Like, I have way more important things to do.
He has a, in other
Okay,
words,
so
he has a
absolutely
life.
insane, but go off, King. I also just didn't care at that point. And so I kind of put it on the back burner. I was like, I can't fucking take this right now. Well, then we get into a little spat. A couple days before
shut
election day. And we almost broke up. And
It's actual
so
audio
I was
from
like,
the
nah, it's
boyfriend, I
fine. I'll
think.
give him one more chance, blah, 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 blah. Well, then election day rolls around. And, well, actually, before this, he was not registered. He had never voted before. And he told me that he wanted to vote in this election. And I was like, okay, cool. Do the research. But that's a whole other thing. And so the voter registration deadline was approaching. I could tell he was going to vote against me. Let's just say it like that.
Against you.
And so I was
Against
like,
her.
he is not
He's
going to
vote
make an
against
educated
her,
decision
Cory.
on who he votes for. So guess what? I'm not going to remind him of this voter registration deadline. So then it passed. He didn't register to vote. So there we go. It was saved. He wasn't going to vote. I wouldn't have to deal with it then. But then we got into that little spat and I was like, let me try one more time. Let me see if he's learned anything from me. And I asked him point blank on election day. I'm like, so who would you have voted for if you would have voted in this election?
Shut
he was
the
like,
fuck
I would have
up,
voted
Donnie.
independent. And I was like, do you know that how harmful and basically wasteful that is? And also like check your privilege by saying you're going to vote independently. And he was like, wow, Zoe, I cannot believe that you think my vote would have been a waste.
I ain't got time to
Shut
be
the
distracted
fuck
by your
up,
worthless
because
time.
it is a
screaming.
waste. Look at fucking Philadelphia. All those independent voters could have put us over the edge and could have helped Kamala win. That's another story. And so I was like trying to tell him, I was like, listen, that's harmful. You have to make a decision because the way that our voting works, like the two-party system, is a fucking joke. You have to pick a side. The independent party never has a chance. So you have to pick a side. And we got into a huge argument about
party,
it. And I was like,
which does exist.
Fuck this. This is my last straw. Again, I'm a very liberal woman.
I never would have guessed.
That is on the same page as me because I can't disagree with someone on something that is so important to me for the rest of my life. I fully respect Republicans. I understand that you want to vote that way, but for me, I don't want to marry you and I don't want to date you. So
okay,
we ended it, and no regrets. I've been single ever since. It was awesome. It's been awesome.
Whew. What an anchor.
That is one individual woman who I'll pray for.
Didn't know she was black.
God damn it.
Dude, all of the like normie Democratic tropes she threw in that video. And
I'm almost inclined to say that one was a troll video.
Oh God, I hope so. If so, she's
Like
a
if it was
comedian.
Class A.
Because you
But,
were
like,
you
it
were
was-
getting very, very upset, and I would have
Not
too.
upset, just like yeah,
I
like
would have,
it was just.
but I would have too.
It
Because
was.
if
It
was
was
the first time I'd
encompassed.
seen it.
It was encompassing all of every single little bullet point of the shit that frustrates me about liberals. Just like how if it were a video of someone on the right talking about dating like a liberal, like let's say it was a Republican guy. Let's say it was the guy, right? Like the guy that was talking about her, not seeing this video. If you'd have been naming all of like the Republican fucking caricature bullet points about her, even if it was all true based on this girl right here, like the only 30 seconds I know of her, and he was naming all that, I would have done that. I would have had the same responses like, oh my God.
All I
it
can
would have been all of like the right wing fucking just annoying tropes. Like, yeah, you know, she probably gets all her money from mommy. You know, and
I like how you did a
You know-
redneck voice when you said it.
well, she called him a redneck, yeah. And like I still do. I talk whenever I'm talking about Trump or any conservatives, when I'm trying to like, you know, improv or mock something they would say, it always is a Southern voice, which is weird, right? The Southern voice is you could call racist, right? Like, you know, like
Yeah,
it's,
you
it's
can now.
definitely,
I don't
like-
think you could have a couple years ago because
like it's definitely making fun of a sect of human beings based on no choice of their own, not necessarily skin color, but like geographic location, how they grow up, their culture. When it comes to people of the South,
you know, Corey, if the guy
we're allowed
she
to
was
make
talking
fun of
about,
them.
if the guy she was talking about had just listened to the wise advice of Kenny Powers, they might still be together, and she would have never made that ridiculous.
Maybe you
video.
go down on her, dude. Don't be selfish. Don't be sexist.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that was the whole problem. The problem the whole time. I don't know. I can't speak for that guy, but he dodged a bullet. I understand she's hot, but my God, what an anchor! Who really dodged the bullet here? I mean, honestly, who dodged the bullet?
Well, based on the video and not hearing his side of it, it sounds like her because she made a whole video about it. She's really happy she's single.
I don't think we need to hear his side. I think she just
You go, Queen.
Go off, King.
Go off, Queen.
Oh man, how about Tim Burchett, Bell? How about Tim Burchett going off on that kid about his Game Boy and his Hot Pockets? The first time I saw this, it felt, I know it wasn't, like you can tell when you see it and think about it that it wasn't, but it actually kind of felt staged in like a weird way. Like Tim Burchett was like, okay, the first fucking dumbass liberal kid that walks up to me and asks me a question, I'm going to ask.
He probably practiced it in the mirror.
Probably.
He's just sitting there, just waiting to go off on some like dumb little liberal kid. But the thing is, the kid that asked him the question, I mean, maybe he is like a dumb liberal kid, who knows? But he asked a really good question. Like it was a legitimate question. Tim Burchett just didn't want to answer it. You got it, Bill? He's digging for it.
No, I'm
He's
good.
digging.
I got it. I don't got
It's
dig,
so.
man.
This is like the funniest moment that I've seen from a lawmaker in quite some time. That isn't named Marjorie Taylor Greene, who we'll get to in a minute, and or Lauren Boebert. Go ahead, Bell.
Harry, do you trust Trump's national security team to keep our war plans top secret?
You trust your mother every night to fix your hot pockets and make sure your Game Boy is turned on.
Well, you know, he didn't answer, but if his answer was no, like, no, that girl never makes my sandwiches, then he still didn't answer the question. Tim Burchett never answered the question. Neither did he. We have two very, very important unanswered questions here.
You trust your mother every night to fix your hot pockets and make sure your Game Boy is turned on.
Does he trust her to do that? And does he trust? We came into this with one unanswered question and left with two unanswered questions. That's the most politician shit I've heard in a while.
And you know what? I don't think we can immediately say, Jordan Peterson, it's not immediately clear to me.
It's not immediately clear to me.
Which one of those questions is the more important one to answer? Because if you can't trust your
Depends
mother,
on the answers.
If you can't trust your mother to fix you a hot pocket, I love that Southern terminology. Like, fix a hot pocket. It's like my grandpa when he was talking to my grandma, Jeanette, fix me supper at 4 p.m. It's if you can't trust your mother to fix your hot pocket and make sure your Game Boy is turned on, that's a deadbeat mom. You got to get rid of her. You gotta find a way to live your own life. And by the way, why do you need her to turn it? Do you need her to turn it on for you?
I don't
figured out how to turn on a Game Boy.
You don't charge
old. He
a
doesn't know
Game
how
Boy.
a Game Boy works.
You don't plug in a Game Boy.
You put some batteries in it and left it on your nightstand for you, Sonny. And
that's how you can tell he's an old boomer, because like a Game Boy is the last handheld video game that he's ever heard of. Meanwhile, nobody in Gen Z's ever touched a Game Boy.
Kids are playing on tablets now.
It was the big gray Game Boy that's like this big, and
like
it
a
was like
Switch.
green and dark green. He's like, this shit is high tech.
Do you think that's what that kid was asking himself after he backed away from Tim Burchett? Like, what the fuck is a Game Boy?
No, he looked like a nerd. He probably went to the park and pulled out his DS and cried.
My 67 Corvette.
Probably an adult, and was like, he's probably just, it'd be like one of us trying to get a scoop on something, and he asked this
I don't
question.
know, dude. That kid looks pretty young. I don't know. He's on the TikTok. So
He's probably a college student, to be honest.
Yeah, probably. That sounds about right. Or just out of college.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at that. It says TikTok.
I know less now after watching that video than I did before.
All right, one more fun topic before we get into the meat of the episode. The last video of the funny ones that I sent to Bell. We have Marjorie Trailer Greene interacting with a British reporter, and I have to give credit where credit is due, because we've talked about Marjorie Taylor Greene so many times on this show. I did not think to call her Marjorie Trailer Greene until I heard my boy Mark Fellhauer on the Drew Lane show say it. So I'm gonna give credit to Mark, but I'm calling her that from now on because it is absolutely perfect. Go ahead and roll it, Bell, because this is what a bitch. Go ahead.
Anybody else? What country are you? Wait, what country are you from? The UK. Okay, we don't give a crap about your opinion and your reporting. Why don't you go back to your country where you have a major migrant problem? And you no. You should care about your own borders.
Look at her Karen pointing of the finger. She's pointing in her face like a Karen.
Your country. What about all the women that are raped by migrants? No, do you care? Okay, you're done.
Right.
I'm not
Non sequitur, but okay.
You know what? I don't care.
Yep.
I don't care about your fake news. Do you have a relevant question? Yeah, this is an American journalist.
I know what's going on. You're just showing off on friggin' TV again.
I'm not answering her question because I don't care about her network. If you would like to ask, I can answer.
You see the photographer taking a picture of her ass?
Disregard of
He does have a glorious backside for being a butterface.
She definitely
You
got
wanna
some
know
work
about
done.
complete
Yeah,
disregard
she got
about
some work done.
operational security. You should talk about
Either
the
that
Biden
or the lighting
administration,
is
how
that
they ripped our
bad.
borders open to terrorists,
She got some
cartel,
cheek
child
implants or
sex
something.
trafficking, human trafficking, and drug trafficking
got
across our
some
borders
huge
for 4
cheeks.
years. The Trump administration is
think she
doing
got
a
some
great
Botox.
job,
Or
and I
she's
stand
allergic to,
by
like,
their
shellfish.
statements. I stand by their statements. My comment to you is I'm thankful to President Trump that he is leading us out of wars, that he's ending the war in Ukraine, where American lives could have been killed if Joe Biden was still president today.
That's enough. He's leading us out of war while he bombs
This
Yemen.
just in.
Oh,
Marjorie
go,
Taylor
ooh.
Greene is racist against white women.
Oh, for God's sake.
God, all you can do is laugh, Dan. These are
Well, you're
representatives.
not that smart.
in
I
our
know what's going on.
government.
You're just showing off on friggin' TV again.
Donald Trump is ending wars as he bombs Yemen at the behest of Israel, but we won't talk about that part. I'll give him credit for trying to end the Ukraine war, sure. But what about the other one? There's another one.
Stalling.
It's pretty serious. Pretty serious on that one. Yeah, she definitely had some work done.
Yeah. No, Trump kind of bungled that one in retrospect with Ukraine. Like, he's out here saber rattling, saying he's going to remove money or like take money away from Ukraine and helping them with the war. And at the same time telling Putin he's got to stop doing what he wants to do.
Nobody's ever been hit like that.
If he didn't say the first part, just going off on fucking Zelensky.
Freaking TV again.
Then Putin might be like, all right, yeah, we need to get this show over with. But now he's like, well, America's pulling the money away anyways. Why do I need to try to make a deal? I can just steamroll them when they leave.
Well, and that gives credence to like what the Europeans say. Like, we know it's bullshit just based on historical context. But it gives credence to what the Europeans say when they're like, oh my God, he's going to roll through Ukraine and then invade Poland.
Right. Well, I mean, like, if America stopped funding Ukraine, if Putin has all the land that he wants, then he could just be like, all right, we're done. We're just going to set up shop here.
Well, that's the art of the deal.
Right. It's like Putin already
They're
knows
cheating,
that
they're
Trump
crooked,
wants
they're corrupt.
that Trump's not a fan of NATO. And now Putin knows he can give two shits about Ukraine. He just needs to keep pressing and let Zelensky be a thorn in Trump's side and make him just fucking throw his hands up about Ukraine. Geopolitically, that's all he has to do.
I didn't expect Marjorie Taylor Greene going off on a British reporter to get us into an actual philosophical discussion about the Ukraine war. I love how, you know what's funny? I feel like this isn't the first time that like a reporter has gone to ask Marjorie Taylor Greene a question and her first response is another question, which is like, what country are you from? And doesn't it feel like it's not the first time she's done that? She just hears an accent. She just hears an accent and asks what country they're from. Like, no American can ever have an accent. Usually Americans don't have British accents. I'll give her credit for that. But, you know, I know plenty of Hispanic people that are American citizens that certainly have accents, don't you?
Yeah. You know, the only accent that I actually like prejudge someone, but like when I first hear it and I have to like, you know what I mean? It's like the only accent I do that with is like a Long Island, like Boston accent.
Well,
because when they first, okay, well, like what's the very, very thick one that sounds like a speech impediment? Would that be like not Boston? It's New York, but it's
I mean, Brooklyn, Staten Island.
Yeah, probably like Staten, like Fourth. Instead of fourth, it's like fourth or fourth. You know, like it's like,
I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but sure.
I can't even replicate it, but there's this accent in one of those neighborhoods in New York or like one of the islands to where it's like whenever I first hear somebody speaking with that accent, whether it's like audio or in person or anything, I think that there's a speech impediment or they're handicapped. And then I have to hear them say more, and then I'm like, oh, it's New York.
We have white privilege.
I swear to God, dude, that's the only one that I really prejudge. It's like, oh, I'm like, oh, this poor guy, look at him. He's handicapped. And then, oh, no, he's just from New York.
Let's get into the real stuff, Corey. We can skip JD Vance on Greenland. We don't need to get into that. We've had a couple of quote unquote oil spills in our home state of Michigan, and oh my God, do people want to blame it on Trump so badly?
Yeah,
because the first thing they hear is deregulation. The first thing they mention is deregulation. So nobody actually cares, but just north of the Detroit area here on the St. Clair River, we had a quote-unquote hydrocarbon spill. That's an oil spill for anybody that doesn't know what hydrocarbons are, of about 500 to 700 liters.
What's the update on that? I've been meaning to look that up.
Well, I'm about to give it to you. 500 to 700 liters of oil spilled into the St. Clair River. Take a wild guess at just like even something as mundane as ChatGPT says is a large oil spill. How many liters or how much oil do you think is a large oil spill according to ChatGPT?
Well, I'm American, so I'm going to say
Doesn't have to be
1,000
liters.
gallons.
500 metric tons is considered a large oil spill. 500 to 700 liters is about half of a metric ton. Just to kind of qualify it there. It's not to say that it's good, right? We want 0 liters of oil being spilled into our rivers and
0
lakes.
liters sounds pretty good, Dan. I like 0 liters the best.
0 liters is the perfect amount of liters to be spilled into any river or lake. But the way
You heard it
this
here
was
first
talked
on the
about,
world's smartest podcast. 0 liters is the best amount of liters to have of oil spilled in any waterway or body of water.
Yeah, that would be great. We love 0 liters.
Fucking
my
retard.
understanding, it was A, this was cleaned up pretty quickly. B, it wasn't fucking what was the BP one? The Deepwater Horizon, right? It wasn't anything like that. It was cleaned up pretty quickly. People wanted so badly to blame this on Trump's deregulation. Now you can even still say that the deregulation was the cause for it in the first place. If it weren't a fucking Canadian company that leaked the oil into the river in the first place.
I almost gave it up because as soon as you started talking about liters, if it was an American company, they would like measure it in gallons. But it's being measured in liters because it's across the river.
Yeah.
A little geopolitical trivia for you. Michigan and America is actually one of the border countries or border states because we're surrounded by Canada.
We are
We're on the front lines, brother, for the upcoming Canadian-American war.
We don't really have a border with Canada. We have bridges that lead over rivers.
I mean, and the UP, there's landmass touching.
No, the Sioux Locks. That's it.
No, I don't think so. Wait.
Yeah, the Sioux Locks. Otherwise, all we do is touch Wisconsin because Lake Superior's in the way.
And then dirty Ohio.
Look at a map.
We do not physically touch Canada.
We do not physically touch Canada.
The closest point, I think, is Sarnia.
And the second closest is probably the Detroit River. Windsor.
Well, all up and down St. Clair River and Detroit River is pretty much.
And there's some areas of the St. Clair River that are pretty narrow. This is fucking radio for 3 because nobody cares.
Yeah, no one gives a shit about the width of the St. Clair River on Michigan's east side.
There was another one. There was a video that went pretty viral on social media of a guy that was filming the Grand River that's in Grand Rapids on the west side of Michigan here, saying that there was something spilled into the river. Like he could see a sheen on top of the river. Now, I don't blame this guy, right? Like if I'm strolling past a river and I see a substance on top of the river and I don't know what the hell it is, I'm probably going to start recording too. Like I've no issue with this guy doing this.
Yeah, I'm Googling like any like EPA or Michigan's EPA and calling him right away.
But again, people want to jump online and blame Trump and deregulation for the reason for why this substance, which I'll tell you what it is in just a moment, spilled into the river.
Oh, you didn't give me the update on the Sarnia, or not the Sarnia, but the Canadian oil spill. It was cleaned up.
That was the update. It was just a relatively small amount of oil. It's not that difficult to clean up. We'll see. They could have botched it. There are definitely ways to botch that cleanup. But we're not talking about, like I said, we're not talking about Deepwater Horizon here.
Like they collect it all and it escapes, and then they're like, whoop. Yeah, we got it.
Hey, don't tell anybody.
Just, uh-oh.
The situation on the Grand River, everybody wanted to blame Trump and Trump's deregulation, right? Because everybody wants so badly for deregulation to be a bad thing, which it is not. And I'll tell you why in just a moment. But again, it had nothing to do with Trump's policies. I mean, I guess you could say that it did in like an offshoot way that he couldn't have done anything about just yet anyway had he wanted to, because it had to do with infrastructure. Sure, Trump could from this point on do a better job helping American infrastructure. By the way, so could the state of Michigan, instead of giving billions of dollars to Dan Gilbert to remodel the Ren-Sen, but that's another fucking discussion for another day. This spill was from mineral oil from transformers, electrical transformers that were taken out by a large storm that rolled not only through Grand Rapids, but through our area in Detroit here too.
Yeah, Michigan got
a few days ago. And we're going to get hammered again tonight, by the way. So if we end up ending this podcast early, you'll know why. Yeah, it wasn't anything to do with Trump's deregulation. It wasn't anything to do with Trump's policies, but people want deregulation to be such a bad thing because they don't know what deregulation actually means. They just use the word deregulation. What are we talking about when it comes to deregulation? You know, deregulation at the EPA. Okay, sure. What does that mean? Nobody knows what it actually means. They just hear the word deregulation and they freak out. But I'll just speak for myself on this, and you guys can chime in with yours as well. Regulation contributes to a shit ton of economic waste and economic fraud. When I say that deregulation is a good thing, what I'm talking about is the regulatory body that means if I'm a dental hygienist, I can't just go open a dental hygienist clinic on the corner. No dentist, but you pay me to clean your teeth. I know how to do it. I got the paperwork that says I know how to do it. Why can't I open an office where Cory decides, man, it's been a while since I've had a teeth cleaning, and he can just stroll in and pay me $50, $75, whatever it is, and I can just clean his teeth for him. Dental hygienists can't do that. Why? Because of regulation. That's just one example. And there are many, many others just like it. So that's what I think of when I think deregulation. And we can get into the whole libertarian argument of, you know, the free market does solve even the not the economic, but the environmental issues, because nobody wants businesses that they buy products from polluting their rivers and polluting their air.
Yeah, the best evidence of that is animal cruelty.
Yeah,
we talked about that a little bit last week. Yeah, it's basically gone from commercial businesses. Shampoo companies don't test on animals anymore. You read the bottle, right? It says not tested on animals. But who does still test on animals? The government. So just because, whether it's Trump or anybody else, wants to deregulate, that word deregulation should not be a word that makes you cringe automatically. What is the deregulation? Right. And it's also not a word that should be used in a broad brush stroke of just deregulating everything.
Right. Which is how it's used.
Right.
Most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, people on like the liberals typically look at the word deregulation as some sort of like monolithic broad brush stroke of the entire just economy. And like, that's not what deregulation is. You know, I mean, it could be. I mean, if the government did it like that, that'd be fucking stupid. But that's just like a broad brush stroke of tariffs. Kind of fucking stupid.
But it's all Trump's fault anyway.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's just it too, right? Like, if the
you've done a hell of a lousy job.
Like, yeah, no, it's hilarious that a storm a storm in Michigan knocking over power lines. Now, there's an argument there of why sometimes privatizing a power infrastructure through a private company, or actually a public company that can trade on the stock market, might not be the greatest idea. Because Michigan is one of like the biggest like power outage percentages, or like power outages after storms, in the whole
Especially
country.
Metro Detroit.
And that's privatized. That's a privatized electric company. We're one of the few states that has that privatized.
But Cory, it's also so DTE is our electrical company, Consumers Energy is our gas company. And
sometimes it's interchangeable.
And consumers, and they do, in certain areas, DTE does gas and Consumers does electric. But again, that's all because of regulation. It's essentially a monopoly. And
I was going to go there next. Like, because those two got together, and Chuck like gerrymandered the whole area and goes, all right, we'll sell this here and this here, and you sell that there and that there, and then here I'll do this, and then here you do that, and we'll just edge everyone else out.
Power companies are essentially monopolies in their areas, and it's not because of capitalism. It's because of government protections for the corporate entities. So people,
and then once that private company gets a hold of it, another example of why deregulation might be bullshit sometimes, because then they go, oh, we're going to deregulate, we're going to demonopolize and deregulate these companies, right? Well, those companies are the ones that put in all the fucking gas lines and power lines. So any other company that wants to do it, they still have to pay a service fee to these big companies.
Because you can't put in new ones.
Right. And then they
because
try to
of regulation.
We buy all the gas from them in a bulk price in the summertime when the gas is lower. And then we just charge you a $4 service fee in the summertime to buy gas from DTE. And then in the wintertime, the gas that we bought from the summertime offsets your higher price, because then we're selling you the gas at the summer price, but you also still have to pay the service fee per gallon. And that's all they can do. That's the only way they can try to make it work. And then half the time it doesn't. And some people see their bills spike up $100 and they're calling the fucking company and quitting it and going back to DTE.
Oh, I've never fallen for that grift. They've knocked on my door a couple times. But yeah, it all boils down to cronyism, not capitalism, which is a distinction that some leftists just can't wrap their minds around. They're very close. They're very close on it, but they want to turn to the billionaire first. They want to turn to the corporation first and blame them, when the corporation is really just taking advantage of the rules put in place that they lobbied for, and the government that they lobbied for and the government put in place in the first place. Like,
I'm glad Kaladar said it also makes no sense to have multiple power companies, because like that's also it too. Like, every time a new power company wants to pop in, all the roads are getting tore up and everything. Like, I don't know. Like, it's.
Yeah, what do you do? I don't know. It's silly.
So I guess what you'd have to do, like technology permitting it, is like, once they figure out a way to make windmills more efficient, solar panels more efficient, and people can store power in their house, right? So like you would just get a battery in your house and you'd have that shit just catching power, charging your battery, and then your battery powers your house.
Okay, so that's the good libertarian argument right there, right? Like, that's what makes solar make sense. Because if I could just catch my own power and sell it back to the power company,
right?
Great.
But then there's regulations in place in certain areas where you can't even collect your own rainwater. So good luck.
Gee, I wonder who puts those regulations in place. Could it be
Big Water?
The water companies, or the I don't even know if it's a company, but the water departments lobbying to not allow that?
Yeah.
It's not. I guess my point is, it's not the people that are lobbying for the regulation that I'm going to hate before the government entity that takes whatever kickback it is in the form of, giving government officials jobs following their time in government. Like we've talked about the
Paying
revolving
contributions. Yeah.
campaign
Contributions.
We've talked about the revolving door, campaign contributions, and all that. Like, I'm going to blame the people that take the money that make the laws before I'm going to blame the corporation that is doing what it does, which is find a way to improve its bottom line the absolute most. This is why big government is a problem.
It gives the big businesses the opportunity to lobby in the first place.
It's Liberation Day, Cory.
And around we go.
That's right. We are on an economic hamster wheel. It's Liberation Day, Cory, as we sit here and speak on this Wednesday, April 2nd. The tariffs are a thing. And I was listening to an excellent episode of Charlie LaDuff's bullshit news hour. I'm sorry, no bullshit news hour. And Charlie had on the clinical assistant professor of finance at the University of Illinois, Richard Excel. And Richard did an outstanding job of kind of explaining the hamster wheel that the United States economy has been on for, throw out your number, 30 years, 50 years, whatever it is. And kind of how these tariffs, even if they actually work the way that Trump wants them to, and you can see the logic behind the way Trump wants these tariffs to work. However, historically, they've never worked out that way. So let's just go with best case scenario. So Trump's whole idea is that these are reciprocal tariffs. You have tariffs on us. We levy tariffs on you. We make a deal for you to lower yours. We'll lower ours. And hopefully it goes down to zero, right? Like that's kind of the way it's sold, right? And it makes logical sense in certain ways, but it doesn't
from
solve
certain perspectives. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the idea isn't lost on either of us. We just have no faith it's going to work because history tells us that it doesn't work. But Richard Excel goes on with Charlie, and he talks about the way that even if these things work out in the best way possible, it doesn't make a dent in the hamster wheel of economic kicking the can down the road that the United States has been going through forever. So 25% of the American GDP, you can look this up, is from government spending. So that tells me something pretty major about the way that the government over the last, and both Republicans and Democrats owning the White House and Congress, they've all done this, where they're able to sell you this idea that the economy is fine because they do this thing where they're like, oh my God, look at our GDP. We have 3% growth. That's great. That's exactly what we're going for. Economy's fine. Nothing wrong with the economy. And then you realize that 25% of the economy, 1/4 of GDP, is because the government spends money through private businesses and contracts and what have you.
Yeah.
So
what would that be? That'd be 0.75% of that 3% is the government just taking money from people and then turning around and giving it back to people. And when we talk about things like that, I got the perfect example of it. Okay. Right now, you got the SNAP benefits on the table of what exactly the SNAP benefits are going to allow and what they're not going to allow. And someone who leads way more towards like personal liberties and free will, I think if someone is unfortunate enough to get SNAP benefits, that maybe they should be able to enjoy themselves and buy some soda and stuff like that. That's what they're trying to get rid of, is the soda. And then so soda right now, big soda, right, is spending all this money and having influencers and stuff like that say, no, you can't allow the government to tell you that you're not allowed to buy soda with your SNAP benefits. And you know why they're doing that? You know why they're going to spend 5 million, 10 million, however many millions of dollars on those influencers to create a narrative that this is a bad idea? Because
That's where most of their money comes from.
Yeah.
I don't know about most, but 45%. So there's
Enough for it
$5
to matter.
billion, $5 billion a year the big soda companies collectively make from SNAP money. They make $5 billion off of government subsidy, basically. That's you talk about corporate welfare. You could argue that that's corporate welfare.
And it 100% is. It's tax dollars subsidizing giant corporations, with which every leftist in the world should be against.
But but it's still tough for me, because then it's like we just telling people they just can't choose what they want to buy. We're going to go back to doing just regular food
Yes,
stamps.
they can. Cory, yes, they can.
This piece is for one loaf of bread. This piece is for
Cory, they can absolutely choose to drink soda. They just can't use it they just can't buy it on the tax dollars dime, the taxpayer's dime.
And
it's
then
not the same thing. They can still buy soda with their own money.
It's my stubbornness that's still making me hold on to it, because you also can't buy alcohol. You can't buy tobacco.
Correct. Nor should you be allowed to.
Also bullshit, brother.
Yeah, there's good calories in this beer. I should be able to buy it with my SNAP benefit.
What the fuck? This Miller Lite has 1 gram of protein. Shit, I should be able to.
Now, I will say this: I do understand the argument that if you're going to take away,
I use alcohol to clean things.
Well, if you're going to take away SNAP, I do understand this argument where if you're going to take away SNAP benefits to be able to buy unhealthy foods, which, by the way, are cheap, and the reason why people on SNAP benefits buy this food in the first place,
not to mention food deserts in both urban and rural areas.
You do have to find a way under this system to provide healthier foods at better prices, or you need to give people more money, which, I'm a libertarian. I'm not for that in principle, but under the current system we have, I absolutely understand that argument. It's not lost on me at all. I don't know how we got off on that tangent, but
because we were talking about government subsidies, crony capitalism,
tax dollars going to bad places. Yeah. So if 25% of
I used it as an example, and then we just kept going with it.
If 25% of GDP is government spending, I think I mentioned this to you.
That's what it was. That's what we were talking about.
I think I mentioned this to you pre-show, so feel free to answer if you remember the answer to this question. But what percentage reduction in GDP causes a recession?
Is it 4?
It's about 4%. So if you have 20%, if you have 25% of GDP coming from government spending, and a 4% reduction in GDP causes a recession, how in the hell do you reduce that 25% without sending the economy into a complete fucking spiral? You see what I'm talking about the hamster wheel? Like, how do you get off this hamster wheel? I don't know the answer. I'm not an economist, but it's obvious that we have been so unbelievably wasteful and so just kicking the can down the road for so many years that we've gotten to the point where it's required that 25% of our GDP just be from government spending. And it's, I don't remember what my point was. I was going to go on to the next bullet point.
Oh, shit, buddy. I got to dig a little deeper.
That's right. Every major economy so far, with the exception of the United States and maybe China at this point, I'm not sure, but definitely the United States, every major economy that enters a recession, enters a recession when spending doubles growth, right? So right now, our growth, GDP, year over year, for a while now has been roughly 3%. Spending is at about 8%, right? So we're over double when it comes to the growth of spending versus the growth of GDP. So if we're in a place where the government's spending 25%, 4%, and a 4% reduction enters a recession, how do you not not even not trigger a recession, but not trigger a depression. And tariffs have absolutely no chance, reciprocal or otherwise, of solving that problem. I will say this. I do appreciate the idea of trying to do something, because that's at least one step bigger than what we've seen from this federal government, clearly, according to these numbers, in my fucking lifetime. And I'm 36 years old. It's not going to work, and I hope I'm wrong.
Right. I mean, and then also at the same time, like, it's the economy here is so fucked.
You have
but
to
like
shrink. You have to shrink the government
in the
right?
in the same breath saying that about the tariffs, right? It's oh man, I forgot what I was about to say.
That's all right. Maybe this will bring it back to you, because what I was going to say is you have to shrink the government, but it's gotten so bloated to the point where 25% of GDP is government spending that it's tough to find the pathway to shrink the government without losing the percentage of GDP that is going to tumble you down into a depression. And to top that off, we have $9 trillion in debt to pay right now just to keep the government operating. And
yeah, Liberty Twitcher just said, for all the talk of Doge and tariffs, we need massive tax cuts instead. Well, so if
hold on, Corey, I'll let you say that, because I was actually getting to that with regards to tax cuts. So we have $9 trillion in debt to pay right now just to keep the government operating, and that number continues to increase at the high clip, and it continues to get harder and harder to sell the debt. So what's the only other option? And this is to Liberty Twitcher's point. The only other option is actually more tax revenue. And what do more taxes do? They reduce spending power, which hurts GDP further. So again, I'm gonna go back to it. It's a fucking hamster wheel. How do we get off this hamster wheel?
The only way you get off this hamster wheel to start with is like you don't, like, the government just has to be held accountable, and they can only spend what they take in. That's the step in the right direction. You end the deficit. That's why you always hear them talk about the deficit. You get the books in the black in the first part, and then you start making the cuts.
And it kind of seems like they're
So
doing
he
it
said not
backwards.
necessarily you can grow the economy even with tax cuts. You're talking about the Laffer curve, sure. And so the Laffer curve worked really well under Reagan. And this is why, because at the time when Reagan came into office, he came in during a recession. Sure. But the taxes on the top, like 10%, top 1% or whatever, it was like in like between like the 50% and 70%. Okay. He cut that down in half. And that's where we're still sitting right now. At this point now, we're squeezing a stone because he made those cuts, but the government itself didn't follow suit. Like if you live at home and all of a sudden, you know, like your income is being fucked with it, like you get your overtime cut or something like that. So you can't afford all the frivolous things anymore. You have less income. So you get rid of all the streaming services. You get rid of, you know, the random, like the monthly membership to the car wash, or you get rid of the Lifetime Fitness gym and you might go to a Planet Fitness. You make those cuts to make up for that revenue loss. The government made those cuts, but then kept everything going like they were still making overtime.
And that's the issue, right?
For 45 years.
That's the issue with the $9 trillion in debt to pay, like just to keep the government running. And Kaladar said, so we're basically so you're saying we're fucked? Question mark. I mean, it seems that way, but
based on if we continue the trajectory that we're going, yeah.
No, like we don't have to be, because we all understand that we need to shrink the size and scope of government. The issue that we keep running into is idiots that want to stay in power, right? And so that's why they tell you that, you know, Donald Trump's a racist and fucking Kamala Harris is a socialist, and you keep arguing with each other. Like at this point, it is kind of going to be up to the American people, right? It is going to be an issue of like not going election to election, thinking that you're going to solve the problem. I don't know how we do that when we can't have any stability because of
which is interesting because we are the world's smartest podcast.
We are the world's smartest podcast, and we don't know shit. So yeah, we are fucked. Okay, it was a long-winded way to say, yep, we're fucked. It's a really long-winded way to say it. I don't know. I'm not an economist. In fact, I'm not even really that fucking good at math, but these numbers are so skewed. I don't know how we get off the hamster wheel. Under the current economic system that we have, I don't see an obvious way to get off this hamster wheel. And I will say I give the Trump administration an iota of credit for trying something, even though I don't think it's going to work, which is probably not something I would have said a month ago, because we know tariffs never work.
Oh, so what I was gonna say about the tariffs thing is like, yeah, like, you know, like people, a lot of people,
look,
like,
a
there's
squirrel.
economists that push for free trade, right? Like we're pushing for free trade, and what free trade has done for Americans is, yes, it has made commodities cheaper. But when there is an imbalance, and that's what Trump like is trying to fix with the tariffs, right? To try to level the playing field, because there's such an imbalance with the free trade in America, where everyone's allowed to sell their shit to us duty free. All the companies don't have the incentive to stay here now because the taxes are still high. So they move to other countries where they could pay someone $2 a day, you know, versus here where it's, you know, $15-20 an hour for a
I understand the idea. Yeah.
You know, right? So like he's trying to level the playing field for that. So what it's absolutely going to do is raise the prices of commodities. And the only thing that free trade has done, as much as like we like to think that free trade is good, the only thing that free trade has done for America, because no other country is abiding by that but America, is given us really cheap commodities. But it's gutted our industries. It's made all of our assets way more expensive. Yeah, sure, I can own a 50-inch fucking TV for $500. But what about buying a house? What about buying a car? That shit's just way more expensive to the average income and median income in our country, because those wages have stagnated, because they're competing with pennies on a dime, pennies on a dollar. You know what I mean?
You also have to understand, because I know we hear a lot of discussion about like offshoring jobs, right? Like that's the whole issue with NAFTA, right? That's the reason people think that, you know, yeah, Bill Clinton balanced the budget, but he also introduced NAFTA. So it's like a give and take with good and bad when it comes to Bill Clinton, because that obviously that budget didn't stay balanced for very long. A lot of that is because of NAFTA. But I don't know if you know this, Cory, but manufacturing has actually been on a steady increase onshore in the United States since 2014.
Yeah, it's starting to come back because the low level, like, you know what I mean? Like you picture like a plane and you drop a bunch of water on it. All the water is going to sink to the bottom. But if it keeps raining, eventually that water is going to level out and cover all the land. The big companies are running out of places to go to extort like really, really cheap labor. Or exploit, not extort. I want to use the word exploit cheap labor. Like China has the largest growing middle class right now. All those workers don't want those cheap wages anymore. They want decent wages. They're creating their own little Chinese version of the American dream.
What's that? Isn't that the argument? What's the book? The Argument for Colonialism. Colonialism makes countries richer.
Because I remember I had a boss one time tell me that when they would, if they wanted to outsource like an IT job or something, or just like a labor job somewhere in America, for the employee, for the benefits, payroll tax and everything, it's like and this is back like in maybe the early 2000s, maybe in the 90s, it was like $25 for an American employee, $12 for a Mexican employee, and like $5 to $7 for a Chinese employee.
What you're saying is, I'm assuming those numbers have converged.
It's probably gone up at this point, right? Yeah, but but those numbers are getting a little bit higher because in doing that, you're starting to build these middle classes in these countries, and they want more money as well.
Anything else? I got nothing else to say. Let's see where this goes. Let's see where this goes. All we know for sure is this, because even Trump admitted this. Things are going to get real shitty before they get better. And I guess, you know what?
Could you imagine if it went the right way?
I hope it does. I hope it does. I have no confidence that it will.
If it went the way Trump wants and China goes, all right, yeah, you know what? No tariffs. Our market's completely open to American goods, and your market's completely open to Chinese goods. China would still have the upper hand because they heavily subsidize their companies, kind of like we do, but like in a more blatant way that has like a heavier hand on their economy. And the labor there is still cheaper. But
yeah, China is capitalistic globally, but communistic internally.
Kaludar says, I'm curious what you guys think what this does to Mega, though. If this backfires, are they done after 2028?
Oh, okay. That's actually a great point, because I do have something to say about this. I think politically, this is going to be a disaster. And it's mostly because people are idiots. And they're very short-sighted. So I personally don't think...
Because most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, so everything is based on like a week-to-week standard.
No, I get it. But like, if it's overall long-term good, and I don't personally believe it will be, but let's just say that it is, nobody's going to look back and be like, Trump did all these great things back in 2025 that put us in the spot.
The president at the
right
time
now
will be doing the same thing that every president does when he inherits a good economy. Oh, look what I did.
And it honestly, as I've been thinking about this over the past days, when I look at it and I see that Trump is willing to sacrifice himself politically to make things better, I guess I don't really hate that if that's actually his MO, right? Because we talk about Trump all the time. Like, we know he's a narcissist. We know he has an ego. We know all of these things about him. So it's really, really interesting to see a guy that is willing to sacrifice himself politically to do, whether or not you think it is, to do what he thinks is best for long-term gains for the United States. Now, I can already hear the Kyle Kalinskis of the world jumping down my throat and saying it's all for just his own gain down the road. And you know what, Kyle? Maybe you're right if that's what you're going to say. But we've never been in this spot before where a president is willing to sacrifice not only himself, but his party, whether he's doing it for the actual betterment of the country or he's just doing it to benefit himself. We've never seen it before. So it's interesting in that way. So I think politically, yeah, this is going to be a fucking disaster because Trump's admitted it himself. This is going to hurt for a minute. And hopefully it's only a minute. Anything to add, Cory?
No, I just want houses to get cheaper.
I know you do. So do I. I'd like to buy a second one because I have white privilege. My whiteness helped me buy a second home in a beautiful place.
Can you, like, shut up?
Shall we move on? Do you have anything you want to close that out with? I'm going to have Bell play the next video and take a leak, but we got to talk about Antonio Gracias and Elon Musk on the Social Security and voter fraud issue. If Bell's listening. Is Bell listening? He's listening. Pull up the Antonio Gracias and Elon Musk video. Road to election status. This I found very interesting. I'm not taking it at face value, and the only reason is because we don't have numbers.
I don't think you sent it to me.
Did I not send it to you?
I don't think you did.
I did. All right, I'm going to put it in the private chat. Right. Hold on. We're having a show meeting live on the air. We're having a show meeting. Here we go.
You should probably, in the private chat, you should probably like title each link you send.
Yeah, well, Bell figures it out, but if I don't actually send it
Well,
to him, then that doesn't
as soon
really
as he
help.
sends them, I pop them up into a tab, so they're already good to go.
All right,
I don't think
here
he
we
sends
go.
them.
Here it comes. Here it comes. That's the one you want. If what's being said here is true, I don't know how you can argue against the quote unquote Democratic agenda. Go ahead and roll it, Bell. I'm going to take a leak. This is a little bit long. I think it's, what is it, about 4 minutes, Bell? Something like that. A little over 4 minutes. Yeah, I got some time. Go ahead and roll it, Corey. I don't know if you've heard this, but this is some interesting shit.
We started at the top of the system, mapping the whole system of Social Security to understand where all the fraud was. And there's a lot of great people there that showed us really a lot of waste. And so that came with a big list of stuff they're working on. You've heard some of that already, but this is what jumped out at us. When we saw these numbers, we were like, what is this? In 21, you see 270,000 people, goes all the way to 2.1 million in 24. These are non-citizens that are getting Social Security numbers.
Yeah, this is a mind-blowing chart.
Yeah, just this literally blew us away. Like, we went there to find fraud, and we found this by accident. And this isn't political, by the way. My parents are immigrants. Yeah, this country's been great to us. My brother and sister all born in Spain. I'm pro-legal immigration. This is not political. This is not political. This is about America and the future of America. And there are a lot of good people in the system that pointed this in this direction. I want to honor them right now, that work in the government today, who took risks to show us these numbers and tell us what's going on. Yeah. So I want to stop for a minute. I want to honor those people today. Very good people. Very good people. I have been from DC to Social Security offices to the border to track this down, and very good people have helped us along the way. I want to thank them.
Yeah.
This number, what this is when you come in the country, if you're illegal, there's a couple ways to come in. You come in through a port of entry, and you can tell them you're afraid. They'll give you an asylum case. You'll get an interview. Then you get in. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to just go to the border. Literally, this happened. I talked to Border Patrol myself. Elon was there too. I went to Laredo, and I went to Bronzeville. Elon went to Eagle Pass. You walk up to a Border Patrol officer, and you tell them you want to come in. They have a couple of choices. They could charge you with a misdemeanor or a felony under 1325, or they can make it an administrative offense, like a parking ticket, basically. They were told to do that, make it an administrative offense under the last administration. And then you will walk across the border. They do what's called a release your own recognizance, and they give you an NTA, a notice to appear, which to appear at a judge. The wait times on judges are like average 6 years. Look at Grok, you'll see it on immigration judges. There's only 700 of them. This is 5.5 million people. Okay, so what happens then? Once you're in the country and you got asylum through one of these pathways, and we map the whole thing out, you can apply for a work document. You file a 765, it's the work form. You get this form called the 766, that's the authorization, and then Social Security Administration automatically sends you in the mail your Social Security number. No interview. No ID.
This is worth just reiterating. It's not people sometimes think that under the Biden administration that he was simply asleep at the switch. He wasn't asleep. No. They weren't asleep at the switch. It was a massive large-scale program to import as many illegals as possible, ultimately to change the entire voting map of the United States and disenfranchise the American people and make
that's
it a permanent
conjecture, Elon, but your point is taken.
No escape.
Look, if I hadn't seen this myself, I'm not sure I'd have believed it. I went through it myself and mapped it, and Elon is right. This is true. The defaults in the system from Social Security to all of the benefit programs have been set to max inclusion, max pay for these people, and minimum collection. That's what's happening. We found 1.3 million of them already on Medicaid, as an example. We've gone through on every benefit program we went through, we found groups from this particular group of people, this 5.5 million people in those benefit programs. And then what was really, really disturbing us was why. We're asking ourselves why. Right. And so we actually just took a sample and looked at voter registration records. And we found people here registered to vote in this population, yes.
And who did vote.
And we found some by sampling that actually did vote. And we have referred them to prosecution at the Homeland Security Investigation Service.
Yeah.
Already, that is already happening.
Yep, that was the end of that. Interesting video, I would say. Interesting numbers. The only pushback I would give on this is to the why. We don't know that. We don't know the answer to that question, although Elon had some conjecture on why these numbers rose. But also because it's already bad enough if you do have folks that are here illegally taking taxpayer dollars for benefits. I don't think a lot of us disagree on that. The biggest piece of pushback I would give is on the voter fraud. And the only reason I say that,
because you can't vote with a social security number.
But also, what Antonio Gracias and Elon said in that clip was that they caught people that were on this social security benefits list that had registered to vote and that did vote. But here's the thing. Guess what they don't give you? They don't give you a number. What are we talking about here? Like it's already, I will admit, it's really strange that those numbers rose the way that they did. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm totally okay with cutting that out. But if we're going to turn this into a voter fraud case, because that was the whole big thing in 2020, right? And then again in here just in 2024.
Well, it obviously doesn't work that well. Yeah, I was gonna say obviously it doesn't work that well.
What's the number? Because all they said was we busted people that registered to vote and people that did vote. What's the number? Is it 100 people out of all those people? Because we've had this conversation on the show before. We know there's voter fraud. Everybody admits there's voter fraud. Even Democrats admit that there's voter fraud. What's the number? Are we talking about 100? Are we talking about 1,000? Are we talking about 100,000? Because if we're up there, then sure, that's a really good question to ask. But I find it really, really interesting that Elon and Antonio don't give you a number or even necessarily a range.
Especially because they were giving you numbers for everything else, and then that one they don't.
Yes. Yeah. Very, very interesting. You got to have a little bit of media literacy here.
If you come here legally at all, you typically get given a social security number because you need to be able to open bank accounts.
And you need to be able
to get a job.
And you need to be able to pay into Social Security and be taxed.
And you need to be able to pay your taxes and stuff. And that's your tax ID number, basically. Like if you start a business tomorrow and it's not a corporation, then it's called like a single what's that called? It's called a single business, single business associate. It's called like an SBA or whatever. Like when you start like a small business license, SBL, I think is what it is, or whatever. But if you start a small business, but you're not incorporating yourself and getting an LLC, LLCs get a tax ID number, which is like basically a social security number for that. But if you're an individual and you're getting a job, you're starting a small business, and I think that you use your social security number. So if you come here legally, yeah, you get a social security number, because like you were saying, paying into the system if you get a job.
Well, Antonio's point though is these are people that are crossing the border on asylum, getting work permits that are getting social security numbers without any sort of hearing or any sort of vetting. I can understand the concern there, right? I mean,
there might be bad faith actors.
Am I crazy? Is there something I'm missing?
Yeah, I'm not saying the idea of giving someone that's coming here legally a social security number is a bad thing, but it's like, are we just making sure that everyone is coming here and getting it in good faith?
Fair. It is interesting if these numbers are accurate, though. I mean, if these numbers are accurate, we have no proof to say that they are other than Elon and Antonio's word. So everybody calm the fuck down. But if they are real, and there has to be something behind them, because Elon and Antonio are both smart enough to not just release these to a town hall without having some evidence behind them being somewhat real. It does leave the door open for a lot of questions for Why were all of these people just allowed to come here for no reason? And like a logical place to get, especially if you're a Democrat hating MAGA person, a logical conclusion is to boost voting numbers. I understand
to change the voting landscape. Yeah.
I understand coming to that conclusion. This doesn't prove it just yet. Maybe we'll come
Which
back.
is really
on this show
funny.
next
You know,
week
that's
and
actually
change.
really funny. What's really funny about that is the fact that a lot of the border states lean red, so they have way stricter voting like regulations, right?
Yeah,
To where it's
basically
like
with the
voter ID.
exception of California, actually New Mexico's pretty blue.
But yeah, like a state like so a state like Texas, who says you have to have voter ID and stuff to vote here, right? They're rounding them all up,
And sending them to blue states?
And Governor
Yeah.
Hot Wheels is sending them to blue states, to where the blue states can just give them their social security number and get that shit set up.
Well, I understand that, but actually, from an electoral perspective, that
Governor
makes
Hot
sense.
Wheels is crazy.
Go ahead and it actually, from an electoral perspective, it actually makes sense. Get these blue voters back over into blue states that are going to go blue anyway. Electorally, it makes sense. Where if you're trying,
it's not about the popular vote, it's the
right,
electoral
yeah.
vote.
If you're trying to win an election, you want more blue voters in red states. You know, if you're Democrats trying to win an election, I mean, you'd say the same thing if you were Republicans trying to win an election too. You want more red voters in blue states. So I get, like, electorally, there's nothing weird about that. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was at least an interesting video. Maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist just asking questions, but here we are.
That's funny.
Did I miss anything? Did you find anything? Did anything else stand out to you in that video?
No, I was looking up. I was just like making sure that it was even true that people who are non-citizens get social security numbers, and they do.
Yeah.
And like the number itself doesn't seem nefarious in regards to like voting and stuff like that. But the idea that they're coming in and then hopping in and then immediately like getting Medicaid and stuff like that, it's like, ooh, hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I've watched people who are Americans who definitely need that type of stuff
struggle to get it. Well, I mean, it even goes.
And I'm
into
not
stuff
saying
that
that people coming here who are truly seeking asylum, yeah, we probably should take care of them. You know, like we're supposed to be the country that does those types of things. But I don't want to see any line cutting.
Give me your sick, your huddled masses. Yeah,
right. I mean, like, you know, like let them, people who are coming here, like seeking asylum, you know, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You know, like they got their safety. They're here. Let them chill for a minute while the people who have been here for a very long time, who are now on the same level of them, of having safety, let the ones who were here longer, who have been waiting longer for like the government entitlements and the government benefits, get it before the ones who just got here. I'm not saying that they don't deserve them, but let's at least have some priorities of the people who are waiting in line a little bit longer. They're on the same.
Well, that's
base level
why,
now.
Corey.
They both
That's
got
why you
the
have
safety.
That's why you have so many like legal Hispanic voters that went for Trump, because they're like, dude, I busted my fucking ass. I got my goddamn citizenship. Like, and I'm still sitting here busting my ass every day at some shitty job or whatever, trying to make ends meet. And you're just going to give them a fucking hotel room in New York City? Like, and it's like, oh, don't you have any empathy? It's like, no, it's not that I don't have empathy. Like, I'm sorry they went through what they went through, but I also went through what I went through. You know, at the end of the day, people are, we as human beings, we are selfish. We are selfish. And it's okay to be selfish, because how do you survive? By being selfish at the end of the day. You have to think about yourself first. Fuck you. You have to be selfish.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. No, I mean, humans. Right. Well, that's Hobbes. That's one of the philosophers that humans are inherently selfish and government is a necessary evil.
Hobbes. Sounds like Hobbes from Calvin and Hobbes.
Well, it's better than Rousseau. Rousseau sounds like a fucking first generation Marxist.
Oh, shit, buddy. I got to dig a little deeper.
Shit. What else did I have? Oh, I got Netanyahu. Literally telling us the same thing for 30 years. I sent Bell a couple of videos.
Yeah, you know, they're making sure that they're treating the people in Gaza right, and they're about to expand their military action back.
Which one you want first?
Give me the old one, the one from Says Hummingbird, the one from 2003. Throw that one up there real quick. I'll tell you when to play it. But Trump. So I tried to give Trump the most credit I could for tariffs, even though I hate it. I think I was fair. I think anybody that wanted to give me shit before should at least recognize that I dig the attempt to be a little bit better. To be not to be a little bit better, but to be to try something new to get us off the economic hamster wheel, I think is the best way to put it. Now we have really bad Trump. I feel like every week, Corey, we're just doing good Trump, bad Trump. Because here's bad Trump.
And that's kind of what we did with Biden when Biden was president.
It was really hard to find good Biden, though. We did find it. We did find it on occasion, but it was really, really hard.
I'm sure it's going to get just as hard with Trump. Give us another couple weeks.
Yeah, I know. It's actually, if you've noticed, it's getting harder and harder week to week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
we
said 2 weeks ago the honeymoon season is over.
Absolutely. Trump was supposed to be the guy that was the anti-war, right? You recall the NBC interview where he was shitting on Biden for bombing Yemen, saying, you don't need to do that. You could just end it with a phone call. Now we have, Pete Hegseth and with whiskey leaks getting caught with a fucking...
Yeah. Yeah. We know what happened with Yemen because of the leak. Because they were using the third party fucking thing.
Having the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic on your Signal chat. Trump threatens Iran. Let me just get this is a headline that I wrote. I didn't actually write it. I probably stole it and pieced it together. So I don't want to give myself too much credit. But Trump threatens Iran, sides with Lindsey Graham, threatens to primary Thomas Massie, and encourages censoring speech to protect Israel. Did I miss anything?
Nope.
That's pretty much it, right? Yeah, these are all things that are remarkably unpopular with most of the American people. Or dare I say all of the American people. Actually, you know what? I didn't write that. I'm too drunk to realize this. I basically got that from Ken Klippenstein. I can't remember. I just take notes and think they're my own. I'm just a dirty plagiarist at this point.
The worst.
So Trump said, if Iran doesn't make a deal, there will be a bombing. There will be bombing the likes of which they have never seen before. And what do his defenders say, Corey? I think you know the answer to this question.
Yeah, he said that, but he doesn't mean it.
He's bluffing. You had it. Okay, I'm gonna get ding, ding, ding. I'm gonna give you credit. You did get that one. He's just bluffing. Here's the thing about Trump.
And which is so funny about that too. It's like, okay, then where's the 4D chess? Because fucking A, like, if you all know he's bluffing, then you don't think Iran does. Like, you don't think Iran is like,
right?
He's definitely not bluffing.
Seems obvious. I actually hadn't thought about it from that perspective. The perspective I was thinking of it from was this. They say that all the time. Like, seriously, take him seriously, but not literally, or take him literally, but not seriously, depending on which side you're on. And when his supporters say he's just bluffing, right? He's just playing the strong man. Like, it's like
bluffing, right, guys?
Well, here's my thing. I don't mind him doing that when he's like trying to own the libs. You know what I mean? Like the stuff that doesn't fucking matter when he's talking about like women.
Term.
When he's talking like men, yeah, well, that's a fun point that we'll get to in a minute. But like when he's talking about like men and women sports or like the culture war shit, like I don't care if he's bluffing in that regard. But when we start talking about foreign policy and you're bluffing and fiddling around with possible World War III, I have a little bit more of a problem with that. But maybe I have TDS. Maybe I just have Trump derangement syndrome over that. But those two things aren't the same. They're not created equal.
It was a nice 3 months where I felt like we were further away from nuclear war than we were before he got elected. But now it's like, God damn it, we're right back into it.
And now we just get closer and closer. I actually think Trump's really funny when he's bluffing while owning the libs. That doesn't bother me at all. I think it's funny. I actually kind of enjoy it a lot of the time. That provides entertainment for me. But like when we start talking about bombing Iran, like even if you believe he is bluffing and he's not actually going to do that, it's like, dude, foreign policy is just a different game than culture war, than even than domestic policy.
That's just it too, right? Like they're not hearing your inflections. They're not hearing your cadence. They don't know that you're just spitballing like you're doing a little bit on TV. They're reading it through a translator, and that translator is taking it what you're saying verbatim, and I promise you they're not saying it in your tone. You know what I mean?
Why is Trump saying that we're gonna bomb Iran, they're gonna see bombs the likes of which they have never seen before? Why is he doing that?
I'm guessing because of the Houthis are in Yemen, but Hezbollah is fucking around in Israel, and they say that they're backing Hezbollah, and so because they're backing Hezbollah, Israel doesn't like Hezbollah, so we're gonna
yep, you're getting there.
Basically,
you
go after them because
you're red hot. You're red hot. Oh, you're red hot. You almost got there. Actually, you basically did get there. It's because Israel wants him to do it. Before the election, what was my number one concern about Trump? And probably yours too, Corey.
Doing the bidding of Israel.
He was going to be real bad on Israel. We knew that from the minute we said, who's the lesser of two evils here? It might actually be Trump. But he's still going to be really bad on Israel. And here we are. He's essentially threatening World War III at the behest of Israel. I'm going to be very clear about something. The intelligence community say it's true. Tulsi Gabbard has said it was true. Iran does not have nuclear weapons. But what do they always turn to? What do the neocons always turn to with regards to Iran, at least in the last 10 or so years?
Well, it's the same playbook they use for Libya, Saddam, and in Iraq.
But they have something special for Iran. They have a shit ton of enriched uranium. Now, the Ayatollah says that it's because of their nuclear energy program, which, if that's true, I'm going to choose at this point to believe that it is. That's a good thing. We've talked about this. How do you slow down emissions? What's the most efficient power the globe could possibly have?
Nuclear energy.
Nuclear energy. So none of the intelligence suggests that Iran has nuclear weapons. But all it takes is like a phone call or something from Bibi Netanyahu to say, oh, they're 5 years away. This man.
They've been 5 years away our entire lives.
Since 1992, Corey. 1992. I was looking for the video, but there is no video from that far back of Bibi Netanyahu saying that Iran is 5 years away from a nuclear weapon since 1992. 1992. I was 4 years old. And then after 9/11, when we started with the Iraqi
The dominoes of the Middle East, yeah.
basically the warm up for the 7 nations that were going to be taken over that George W. Bush admitted to. Bibi Netanyahu, they're 5 years away. They were 5 years away in 2003. They were 5 years away in 2008. They were 5 years away in 2014. They were 5 years away in 2021. Guess what? They're still 5 years away. Probably.
Yeah, maybe they're actually not building nuclear weapons. They just want to be left alone.
Wouldn't that just be wild? What a crazy concept. Bell, go ahead and
again.
Bell,
at this point, it's
video.
either that or they
this
are
is from,
literally monkeys trying to fuck a coconut.
Right. Or yeah, they just suck at it. This is Bibi Netanyahu from, I think this is around 2002, 2003. It's after 9/11 where Bibi Netanyahu is talking to Congress.
I feel like at this point I could ask ChatGPT how to make a nuclear bomb, and it would give me the blueprints. And like,
but the FBI would also have all of your information if you did that. But this is Bibi.
But what I'm saying is, I think if Iran really wanted to, they would have
done it by now. They would have done it by now. This is Bibi Netanyahu in, I think, 2002 or 2003. Prior to the
that doesn't even admit that they have nuclear weapons.
No. This is he's talking about Saddam here. This is prior to our invasion of Iraq. Go ahead and roll it, Bell.
There is no question whatsoever that Saddam is seeking and is working and is advancing towards the development of nuclear weapons. No question whatsoever. And there is no question that once he acquires it, history shifts immediately. There is no question whatsoever.
It's re-rolling. Yeah, it was a very, 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 very short video. Go ahead and get the next one ready, Bell.
Bibi Netanyahu is just as bad as fucking Dick Cheney. He's like, he's the fucking worst.
This is what he has been saying. What's up, Right Nice? This is what Bibi Netanyahu has been saying since 1992. This was 10 years after his after his 1992 claim that Iran was 5 years away from a nuclear weapon. This man was, at least in part, responsible for a senseless war against Iraq and Saddam Hussein. Because of what, Corey? What was the thing we always heard? Oh my God, he's got weapons of mass destruction. That's what Bibi Netanyahu told Congress in 2002, 2003, whenever that was. And Dick Cheney started salivating. I think he had a boner
probably
when Bibi was giving that speech. Bell, here we go. We'll go ahead and roll this. This is Bibi here just recently here in 2025, just back in February. Fantastic. Love it.
Israel and America stand shoulder to shoulder in countering the threat of Iran. We agreed that the Ayatollahs must not have nuclear weapons. And we also agreed that Iran's aggression in the region has to be rolled back. Over the last 16 months, Israel has dealt a mighty blow to Iran's terror axis. Under the strong leadership of President Trump, and with your unflinching support, I have no doubt that we can and will finish the job. Israel and America stand shoulder.
So the Ayatollah must not have nuclear weapons. It's totally okay if all the rest of us do. Totally fine. Not an issue. Total non-issue if all the rest of us do. But also, we need to end Iran's aggression in the region. Really fucking ironic for you to say that, you fucking clown. For you, of all people, to say that. But aggression in the region. How do people still not see this yet? I don't understand.
That's the thing, right? It's like
It's a
I
joke.
feel like a lot of people do see it, but it falls on deaf ears. Our government is captured by the Israeli government. It just has been. It doesn't matter. Look how Biden was during the probably the one of the reasons why the Democrats lost in 2024. Because of them kneeling and kowtowing to the Israeli government.
Yeah, because they lost.
And
the
now
leftist,
Trump is doing the same.
The real leftists
fucking
just stayed
thing.
home. Well, yeah,
And
they weren't
Trump's
going to
doing
get
the same thing.
They weren't going to get the Libertarian vote.
And what do the
they
fucking
kinda
Democrats
lost the
do?
leftist vote.
Instead of the Democrats doing some self-reflection, they blame fucking Muslims in Dearborn, Michigan.
Xenophobes. But this is just literally for 30 years, Corey, over 30 years. Bibi Netanyahu has been saying the same fucking thing and baiting us into ridiculous wars where our boys go over and get killed. You know, guys that I know, that you know, right? I graduated high school in 2006. That wasn't that long after 9/11. We were still in Iraq. We were still in Afghanistan. Guys that genuinely thought that they were enlisting to defend the United States of America, not realizing, no, you're going to do the offensive bidding of a foreign nation. Now, I understand. I already know. We've probably already been booted off YouTube because what I just said somehow is anti-Semitic. Because hating a shitty government a shitty, murderous government that just doesn't exactly think the same way that the West does is somehow anti-Semitic. Because I've said this multiple times on this show. I don't really care who runs a shitty state, who runs a shitty government. I don't care if it's, white Scotsman. I don't care if it's fucking Idi Amin in Uganda throughout the latter part of the 20th century. And yeah, I also don't care if it's mostly run by Jews. Don't care. When you're a genocidal, maniac, I don't really give a shit. Yeah. Oh, do you think? It's
right. I don't give a shit what religion all the terrorists are in the Middle East that are killing innocent people and bombing people through suicide vests.
Whether they're Muslims or Jews.
And I don't give a shit if someone is Jewish. Like, if they're just being a shitty human being, they're a shitty fucking human being.
You're an anti-Semite for saying that.
Yeah, and a xenophobe for talking about the Muslims. And they don't even get me started on the Christians.
There's no such thing as an evil Jew, Corey. There's no such Jews can't be bad people. Just ask Bibi Netanyahu. They can't be bad people. It's not allowed. You're not allowed to say that. I don't care who runs the shitty state. I don't care. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care what race you are.
Yeah, Kuladar said, and to top it off, all the soldiers, that we don't care for them when they return.
That's a
no wonder why recruitment's down.
Absolutely a fair. Yeah, I can't imagine why nobody wants to join the military. I am so sure I'm going to get called an anti-Semite for like the last 5 minutes of this episode.
Yeah, I just let you cook, bud.
Hey, man. I've said it before. I don't care. Like, evil is evil. And usually it's states and governments that are evil. It doesn't really matter what religion the people are that are running it. It makes no difference to me. When you're out toasting babies over an open fire, don't really care what your religion is at that point. Just don't really care.
Me neither.
But apparently I'm on the same playing field as a
Kanye West.
Nazi. Yeah, Kanye West. There you go. Should I buy one of his swastika t-shirts and wear it on the show? I might as well. I mean, there are enough people that are going to say I'm an anti-Semite. I might as well.
No, just do what he did on the Alex Jones show and walk around with a bottle of Yahoo and carry a net.
A bottle of, was it Yoo-hoo?
Yoo-hoo, sorry, Yoo-hoo, yeah.
Chocolate water. Why do people still take Kanye West seriously?
I don't know.
I don't get it. I don't get why anybody would do business with that guy.
Because he's a genius, obviously.
He's a stable genius. And he loves
That's what
and
he
he loves
says.
fish and he loves fish sticks.
And to be fair, after much reflection, he did say on Twitter he is no longer an anti-Semite.
After much reflection,
he said something along those lines. Yeah.
Did I
You got anything else from me, Dan?
Did I have one more? I think I had one more video. Bell, what was that Thomas Sewell video I sent you? Or was that what I just sent you? Oh my God, Cory Booker's filibuster. We cannot forget about Cory Booker's filibuster. Is that what it is?
Oh,
Bell?
yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, he had 25 hours.
Oh my God, this motherfucker. I had one of my normie Democrat friends. You go ahead and throw it up there, Bell. I had one of my normie Democrat friends post this and be like, I don't care if you have to listen to it in your car. This man is speaking the truth. Cory Booker set a record. And oh my God, you would know about it because Chuck Schumer won't let you forget about, I don't know, almost a day ago at this point, he had finally finished up his, what was it, a 25-hour speech filibustering. And
there was no bill.
I asked Cory before he started the show, what the fuck was he filibustering? There's no bill on the floor. He wasn't trying to keep anything. He just wanted to spend 25 solid hours letting you know and me know that Elon Musk is evil and Donald Trump is a threat to democracy.
What I think it is, honestly, is the Democratic Party is absolutely grasping at straws. Like, everyone's talking about how they're just paralyzed from their loss to Trump with Kamala. And they don't really have anything because they don't want to give up like their billionaire donors and stuff like that. They don't want to go back to grassroots or actually try to advocate for the working class. So they don't know what else to do. So they got to do something performative to make it seem like they actually.
I called this a 24-hour-long WWE promo. That's what this was. Nobody knows what he was filibustering. You'd think that maybe he was like trying to, I don't know, stop a war from starting, or, you know, at least for like McDonald's to make the McRib a permanent menu item. Something of
chicken
substance.
select. If we're gonna talk about McDonald's, fuck the McRib. Bring back the chicken. Bring back the chicken selects.
He's talking about morality and Trump is so dangerous and taking away soldiers' access to mental health, as if that wasn't already a thing. Because who was our commenter that said the VA was a joke? Kaladar said, as if the VA hasn't been a joke since, you know, pre-Vietnam. He's talking about letting these guys are going back to the discussion about regulation. We're going to let the polluters pollute more. The polluters are going to keep polluting under Donald Trump and Elon Musk. We don't need a nanny state to stop pollution, as we always talk about. The free market has mostly solved that problem, as you said, Cory, also with animal testing. And he goes on to say, you know what? In fact, I'm gonna before I speak any more on my notes, go ahead and oh shit, Bell's gone. Oh no, he's right there. He was. He's just a little guy. Is he blowing himself? I just saw the top of his head. Go ahead and roll the video, Bell, before I talk about any more of my notes.
To call to the conscience of this nation.
Oh my God, the conscience of the nation.
Stand for another American to lose their health care for a billionaire. I will not stand for another veteran who's dedicated to stopping the suicide of other veterans to lose their job. I won't stand for the air quality in my community to be made worse because they're letting polluters pollute more. I won't stand for the
can you like shut up?
By a man who even the highest judge in our land, a Republican appointed judge, said stop threatening and bullying other branches of government. When is it going to be enough? My voice is inadequate. My efforts.
Yes, it is. He's right about that.
To stop what they're trying to do. But we, the people, are powerful. We are strong. We have changed history. We have bent the arc of the moral universe. And now is that moral
He looks like
moment
he's on
again.
cocaine.
It's the moral moment again. God bless America. We need you now. God bless America. If you love her, if you love your neighbor, if you love this country, show your love. Stop them from doing what they're trying to do for almost 20 hours. We have laid out what they're trying to do. 20 hours. I want to stand more, and I will, but I'm begging people, don't let this be another normal day in America. Please, God, please, God, don't let them take Medicaid away from 10, 20, 30, or 40 million Americans who desperately need it. Don't let them do it.
I know at least a handful of normie Democrats that saw that and thought it was so inspiring.
It was performative.
And just went, oh my God, I would vote for Cory Booker for president tomorrow. Do you notice how he said, if you love your neighbor, show them love? Unless, of course, it's April of 2021 and that neighbor hasn't gotten vaccinated yet. Then we don't love that neighbor, right? Unless, of course, they own a Tesla.
Live in Dearborn, Michigan.
Or live in Dearborn, Michigan. Or own a Tesla. Then, in which case, please go out and spray paint a swastika on it. Fuck you, Cory Booker. Like, honest to God, fuck you and your bullshit and your performative speech and your 25 hours where Chuck Schumer... We don't have the video, Cory. We don't have the video. I'll let you go in a second. We don't have the video, Cory, but when Cory Booker, quote unquote, broke the record for the longest speech on the floor, Chuck Schumer goes, can I interrupt you? And Cory Booker went in such a cute way.
Can I have you? He said, can I ask the speaker to yield?
And and like, Cory Booker goes, this is
the only time in my life I can say to you, no, Chuck Schumer.
Yeah. Yeah. And all Chuck Schumer wanted to say was, you've officially broken the record. Oh! Yeah, thank you. I was hoping somebody would fart in the middle of that. It's such performative WWE bullshit.
Right. Because the Democratic Party hasn't changed their platform. They haven't done anything like that for the working class, or like came out and said that this is actually what we're going to be trying to fight for the American people now. The only thing they've done is they said that they're going to fucking bail on the trans community, and they need to have a guy run instead of a woman. And he filibustered. That's all they got so far. Oh, and the Choose Your Fighter video. And then AOC and Bernie are out running around doing rallies, giving a bunch of feel-good speeches.
And we made fun of them last week, and I can tell you straight up that they're doing more for any cause than Cory Booker did by getting up there and fucking snorting a bunch of blows so he could stay awake, as Bell said.
I think he's popping Eddies.
He was probably popping Adderalls. Who was refilling his water? Because you need a lot of water. You think he had a stadium buddy on so he could take a leak? He also said, don't let them take Medicaid. Whatever will we run on? What will we run on for the next election if they take your Medicaid? We have to be able to tell you in 2028 that we're not going to touch your Medicaid, so you'll vote for us. You not see the game by now? I'm not talking to you, Cory. I'm talking to the people. I know you see the game. I know Bell sees the game. It's always about what can we run on next? What scary thing can we run on next to get you to vote for us? That's all this 25-hour speech of wasting everybody's fucking time. You want to talk about government waste? How about Congress sitting, listening to Cory Booker say nothing for 25 hours? You want to talk about government waste? Again,
that's what's frustrating, right? Like the Democrats don't need to do performative fucking filibusters just to break some record. That doesn't do anything for the American people. Just literally tuck your tail between your legs and go, yeah, you know what? We did turn our backs on the working class, and we did decide to make our whole party platform to cater to like
Rich
elitists
people
and millionaires and billionaires. And we're gonna go back to trying to help the American people, whether you're for it or against it, whether that is for working with unions, trying to stop the neoliberalism to where we just create government programs that subsidize shitty companies like Walmart. Like, there's so many things that they could fucking do that it's just such low hanging fruit, because the Republicans, they fucking suck still, but somehow they found a way to message better to the working class.
Yeah, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
The Democrats just dog shit on working class people. Learn to code.
Yeah. It's the elitist party at this point. If you're a Democrat, if you're a normie Democrat,
there is no party that represents the working class.
I mean,
and because of that, I'm not going to pretend that either party is better than the other.
If
They're both pro-war, the Democrats just want to make sure that the fucking tanks are a little bit more fuel efficient because of climate change.
Yeah. If there is one, it's the LP, and even the LP has their problems. The Libertarian Party. They have a shit ton of problems. Who am I kidding? Last thing I have, Corey, is did you see the media's meltdown over Trump possibly trying to seek a third term?
Yeah, that shit's kind of silly.
Just gives credence to what was that video that we played a bunch of months back? The Robert De Niro. He will never leave. If he gets elected, he will never leave. I have something that is probably going to be unpopular with normie Democrats and Republicans that I'm about to say. What is the inherent problem with a president, not necessarily Trump, but just random president having a third term?
Running for president on a third term.
What's the actual problem with that? I don't think you have a problem with it, Corey. At least not on any
it's just precedence.
That's all it is. And it's the problem that Democrats have had for so long. It's always, well, this is just the way we do things. Nobody can really name one inherent problem of a president continuing to run for a third, fourth, or even fifth term. Because here's the thing. We still live in a democratic republic.
People are still voting them in. Yeah.
You can still lose an election if you're doing that shitty of a job. It's just this whole, well, we've just always done it this way, and George Washington said we should do it that way. Plop George Washington, and don't get me wrong, I'm somebody who loves George Washington. I've read a lot about that man. I think he might be the greatest president we've ever had. And I don't think you would disagree with that, Corey. I don't think Bell would disagree with that statement.
No, based on with all the extenuating circumstances, right? Like, he was the first president of a brand new nation.
But plop him in Washington, D.C. today. Just pull him out of the grave, bring him back to life for like a week, and just plop him in the middle of Washington, D.C. today. And I would love to get his opinion on whether or not he thinks it's like an inherent problem if a president has more than 2 terms. I'm not even saying I'm rooting for Trump to have a third term. All I'm saying is the meltdown over a guy like Steve Bannon saying that they might try to find a legal way for Trump to run for a third term. How long has Steve Bannon been in your on your TV? You don't understand this man's game by now? He is a walking troll that ran Breitbart. Like, he's literally trying to get this reaction out of you. I don't know whether or not Trump's going to run for a third term, but let's just say that he does. Like he finds a legal pathway to do so.
It just goes back to what I was just saying. If the Democrats get their shit together.
Hey, Democrats, go beat him. You know what I mean?
Like, it can't be
why
that
is this
hard.
It's just so stupid. I'm just like, oh, I hate it. I hate it here. I love it here, but I hate it here. I just like
love the country, hate the government, brother.
Oh, well, that goes without saying. You have anything you want to close up on where we just crossed the 2-hour mark?
Yeah, I got nothing.
That's fine.
I got to go to bed.
That's why I'm here. I wonder how many people tune in for you and tune in for me.
I'm not sure.
Let's launch a poll. Let us know.
Libservative Podcast is found on all social media podcast platforms. Our website is libservativeshow.com. We can be found at Libservative on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Instagram and Twitter at LibservativePod. Our TikTok videos can be found at Libservative Podcast. And you can reach out directly at libservativepod@gmail.com. Subscribe today.
That's right. Subscribe today. We've had Bell the Bodysnatcher all night. We're so proud of him. On the ones and twos. He as always has been Corey Walsh.
He's Dan Griffin.
It's been Libservative, the world's smartest podcast. And until next time,
We have white privilege.
And we are out of here.
Go outside, nerd. Get out. Go. I ain't got time to be distracted by your worthless comments. Go on.
The great fundamental issue now before our people. We, the people, cannot turn back. Somebody must lead, or else the fight would not be made at all.